Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So as promised, here is the Deltarune Theory video, or theories to be specifically, because there's more than one. So it's not going to really be fully in depth. Again, I feel like a lot of it's going to be opinionated mostly, so just as a warning, and I'm not really going to try and go back and pull through too much evidence per se. I'm just going to use what I can solely remember. Now, before I start off with the first theory I have written down, I actually want to talk about this. I don't know if it's really a new theory I've seen, but it's kind of a joke I've kind of seen going around where apparently Asgore might have hit Des with his truck and that's what killed her. Which, by the way, for all of those who don't know, Des is, I think, short for December, and December Holiday being the sister of Noelle and her family. So I just thought I'd bring that up real quickly. I'm not sure if that's a joke you guys are running with, or if there's actually evidence in the game. I think it might be near Asgore's shop where he might be talking about something, and I guess that might be what people are putting together based off of what they heard. I know there's a scene somewhere. I haven't gone to it myself or seen much about it, but I just thought I'd bring that up since I've seen a lot of it. That would be kind of funny, though, and that kind of actually would officially, I think, justify Toriel's hatred for Asgore, because, holy crud, who wants to be, with someone who, drives over kids? But I don't know if that was intentional, if Asgore's drunk, and why Toriel would be so biased because she drinks herself, but I digress. So I guess we'll just call that official theory and or thing I've noticed number one. Now, number two, and our first actual theory, is that Chris is working with the Dark Knight. And we, the player, are trying to help guide Chris towards the quote-unquote light. Now, what I mean by that is, I think it's pretty obvious by now. There were plenty of scenes on the phone with who we're assuming to be the Dark Knight, where we, separate from Chris's body for a little bit at Noelle's house, and we see them talking to, presumably, the Dark Knight. And then there are also a few, I think, little cutscenes, not that I've seen, maybe not even a cutscene, but dialogue tests that kind of shows that Chris already knows who the Dark Knight is. And it would make sense if they are working with the Dark Knight, too, because Chris is clearly also intentionally opening dark fountains, and it's just kind of the convenience that they're opening up, not just because of the Dark Knight, but I think Chris is helping. Also, I don't mind the fact that my computer beeped, that can't be helped. Or dinged? I don't know what that noise was. Computer noises, they're not fun, but you gotta work with what you gotta work with. Oh, that's what it was. Sorry, my cord wasn't plugged in all the way. Anyway, let's just move on to... Actually, let me finish with theory number one. So theory number one, I think we, the player, are actually trying to help Chris in a way. We might also be against Chris as well, but I think we're trying to help them in terms of, Chris clearly cares about everyone. Their friends. And would my computer shut up? I am so sorry. Chris clearly seems to care a lot about their friends. Susie, Rousey, Lancer. I don't, doubt that. There was the nice scene where Chris comforts Rousey after Rousey's kind of crying about, how he wished it would hurt less and that he knew less. And I thought that was sweet, because that wasn't something us, the player, chose. That was something Chris chose to do on their own, my bad. So, I think we are trying to help them in a way, but we're also trying to stop them, too, from making a mistake. Kind of like what we did with the Azrael fight. I think Chris, in a way, is our Azrael that we're trying to, help. Alright, theory number two, Des is the Dark Knight. Maybe Carol, ? So we're not actually sure. We know it has to be one of those two characters now. Unless it's surprisingly, Noelle's dad, but that would be surprising, because, that would just kind of feel like Toby kind of pulled it out of his ass, no offense to him. But, it has to either be Des or it has to be Carol. Especially since, Carol just happened to walk in Chapter 4. Right as soon as whatever on the phone talking to Chris said, "I'm on my way." So there's a high chance it is Carol as the Dark Knight, and Carol is doing it on purpose to hopefully bring back her daughter. And that would make sense, because we did see that Dark Worlds can bring back people. We saw it with Gearson, so I wouldn't be surprised if it is Carol. It would be cool if it was Des, too, because that would explain where Des has been all that time. But I digress. So, I have a high feeling it's going to be one of those two no matter what. Theory number 3, Noelle was supposed to be the monster in the prophecy. Now, I don't have as much proof for this one, but I have seen a bunch of videos talking about it. And it seems like while the prophecy was being discussed with each character, I think there is more than one female character mentioned. And based on someone else's video I saw, not that I remember who, so apologies to that person in advance, it seems like Noelle was actually supposed to be the monster in the prophecy and not Susie. And Susie is a fourth entity that's a part of the prophecy now. Again, very short, very simplistic and to the point, but since Noelle also has been to a dark world now, and because the queen was so insistent on her, ruling one with her, I wonder if Noelle was supposed to be the monster. It's hard to say, especially since Noelle being the monster would make sense if her sister, her mom, is the Dark Knight. Alright, theory number 4. This is going to be a tricky one because I already kind of made a half-assed video on it, but we'll rediscuss anyway. Sans isn't just befriending Chris's mom, but knows more than what he lets on. Yes, I know we're talking about the bony bastard, so let me just quickly explain. I know I made a video on it before. It was very opinionated and very, hopefully, half-joking anyway. Again, it's not bad to hate characters, but I know Toby's gonna pull one from our asses and make us regret, wanting to do a Geno later, so maybe just don't do genocide right now, and, chill and wait for, at least chapters 5 and 6 and then decide. But this is my other thought, too, apart from me having defended Sans and Toriel. I think Sans is not letting as much on as he, showed in Undertale. I think he's hiding it a lot better and a lot more well. I'm not sure if, that is intentional for his character or not. Because, again, we clearly suspect more in Undertale, but since he hasn't shown enough in Deltarune, we just don't know. But I do like the theory, too, that maybe Sans did know something was going on. Because, let's face it, he just conveniently happened to, be around when Toriel was leaving for practice and, escaping what could have been a horrible fate in the dark world that, we thought we needed to save her from. If he wasn't around, she probably would have stayed or would have gone back to the church if Sans hadn't convinced her to go home. So, in a way, I think he's helping, despite us not thinking he's helping. And plus, there's no way we got away with that bullshit in the first chapter, being oh, we recognize you, and then afterwards, not even a few seconds later, being oh, we'll be your friend, and oh, we'll see your brother. Come on, guys, let's be realistic here. Clearly, Sans knows more about us, and I'm talking about us, the player, maybe not Chris, per se, but he's clearly aware about more than what he lets on. Theory 5, Sans and Papyrus are originally from Deltarune. Deltarune may be a prequel for their story. Now, I can't fully prove this one. This is, again, where the opinionated comes in, because I have seen their Q&A, and it does talk about, or Papyrus does talk about, I'm remembering there being grass, and apart from the little bit of grass we see in, the beginning and ending, areas of Undertale, we don't see much more than that. And where we do see grass? In Deltarune, so there is some proof for this being their prequel as well, especially if maybe the dark, world stuff is what caused Sans and Papyrus to move in the first place. So, I'm highly wondering, because, Toby said Deltarune is not a prequel, and I know this, but he never said it couldn't be a prequel for other characters, which is why I'm wondering. But again, that's just my personal theory and my personal of me wondering. And then there was also another video someone made, actually, on another character in Chapter 3 that seemed to have a similar story to Sans about not, fitting in or being slightly misplaced, making a joke, and then kind of fitting in that way after, showing that he's, just the funny bone guy or whatever. But again, I'm digressing still, and that's just a very questionable theory. Chapter 6, Deltarune and Undertale coexist at the same time. Now, this does ruin the whole, it's a prequel for Sans and Papyrus, and so it does ruin, the last theory, but if they do coexist at the same time, it would kind of make sense, since Sans does have that door. That, the same door that we use to travel to different sections of the Dark World, that could be the same thing that Sans is using to travel to different, locations of Undertale. And then, I don't know, it just kind of makes sense for some reason if, especially because of the two songs now. I talked about it in the Defending Sans and Toriel video, but I did mention how It's Raining Somewhere Else, and then the place where it rains. I think that's what the other song was called. I could be wrong. You can correct me or something in the comments. It is fine. But I digress. Because those names are so similar, the place where it rains and it's raining somewhere else, well, Chris and Susie are probably doing their thing in Chapter 4 could be the moment where Sans tells the story about how he met the Toriel from, I think, Undertale specifically. And then later he goes back while we're, going through the core. And then there's the place where it rained, where he's dancing with her and then screwing with us, the player, in more ways than one. But I just think, maybe Undertale could be where Sans is more serious about stuff, and then Deltarune is, where he's less serious, either because he doesn't know enough or he's trying to get more intel on us, the player. And then theory number 7 isn't really a theory, but I wanted to talk a little bit more anyway, which is monsters bleed. Oh my god, they fucking bleed. Sorry, I don't usually like to swear, but that's not a joke. It is confirmed that Susie could bleed, which also means that Sans bleeding wasn't because he was a darkener. That theory is scrapped. It just means that monsters can bleed, but how can they bleed is the question. Well, that's still not fully answered. I wonder if monsters only bleed if they're truly cut, which gave me a small mini-theory idea that maybe Sans' boss battle is the only battle where we, legit, cuts into him with the true knife. Because the game's code, no matter what weapon you use, I think the game is going by you're using the true knife and obviously the heart locket for your defense. I think that's just what the code is, assuming you're doing. And I think that's interesting because that would also explain, why the other monsters don't bleed in Undertale. Maybe we're not fully cutting into them. Of course, obviously, we're hurting them and we're draining their HP, but maybe draining their HP and, physically stabbing them are two different things. Again, that's just a mini Undertale theory I had, but how it connects to Deltarune is that, well, it's confirmed monsters are bleed. If Susie bleeds and Sans could bleed and anyone else could bleed, it's now possible. Theory number 8 was just going to be a quick little what did Asgore do wrong, and the answer is we still don't fully know, apart from the, thing I said in the beginning where he might have ran over a desk, but we just don't have enough proof for that. Our final theory is that the future of Deltarune and the prophecy ending are probably going to either A, be the same no matter what route you take, or B, we are going to get two different endings, but only 2 different endings. And that's just about it. It would kind of make sense if, I saw a YouTuber, I think it was Shay, may or may not put him in the description, but it's Shayy in case you're interested. He did make a theory where maybe, if you do the weird route, the game will end sooner than if you're doing the normal routes, or, not doing, the weird route or Snowgrave route, or whatever you want to call it. And that kind of would make sense, but it's also, again, hard to know if Toby's doing the one ending thing, or if the one ending question mark on one of the pages he had at one point was just, again, trying to trick us. And yeah, that just about does it for this video. Wow, I cannot speak. And of course, in case I haven't shamelessly plugged enough, go check out Kingdomtale. Parts 1, 2, and about 3 are out right now. 1 and 2 are definitely, fully out, and 3 is about to be finished soon enough. And then hopefully I'll probably be taking a break from, AO3 for a while and then going back onto it later. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please go check out Kingdomtale. My version of Kingdomtale specifically. I didn't realize until I went on to AO3 that there was more than one, but there is. And I hope you all have a great day, and thanks for being patient with this video and stay determined.